Hello and welcome back to another week of Sambo iRacing. It's week 7, season 1, 2024. We are in the Formula Vee at Rudskogen. We have just gone over the halfway stage in the championship. So we have got 6 weeks counting now of the 12. 4 will be drop weeks, so you will be on your best 8. Let me know in the comments how you guys are getting on. The very top of the championship's relatively competitive at the minute. I know I've got some low weeks that are going to be dropped, but so do everyone else that's up at the top there, so it should be quite interesting as we go around it. As always with these videos, if you do find them useful, please like and subscribe. That will give the algorithm a kick up the arse and send more of you beautiful people to watch my videos. And as always, my fastest lap that is on here, I will drop in my Dropbox, which you'll be able to find in the description section, and that will allow you to race my Ghost around to your heart's content if you so wish to do so. The time that I put in, a 1:37.5, it's not a bad time. It's a tenth slower than the one that I did last season, but the reason for that is that the track is 7 degrees warmer, so we are having to deal with slightly less grip, and it just makes it that little bit more tricky. But having done sort of a dozen laps around here, I do think I'm now maxing out the relative merits of my skill level and my ability. So watch it, see what you think, have a go, race me in the week, and I'll also be sending out the racing from the back to the front about midway through the week, so I can show you some overtaking spots on here as well as just this hot lap. All right, see you back in the cockpit. Righty-ho, so let's have our first attempt on here. So we're over on the right-hand side, we're in fourth gear, and what we're looking for is this 50-yard marker, 50-meter marker on the right-hand side. And just as we get to that, we're going to start braking really hard in a straight line, up to about 60%, 65% there. And we're going to start trailing it off. I'm keeping some maintenance throttle on through this corner because it's so slidey. And then we're coming fully back off the brake before we hit the apex. And we're going to start building up that maintenance throttle, giving it a quick dab of full throttle, dropping it down into third gear at the same time, letting the car balance itself out, and then as we start turning in for the next corner, we're going to come back off the throttle, taking it nice and tight around here. So as long as you're keeping your left-hand tyres on the road there, you're not going to have an off. And we're just going to balance it around 13% throttle on the right-hand side, and then we're fully back on the throttle at apex here. Now, there are two lines. Some people, well, the vast majority of people that I see, let the car drift far out on the left-hand side. I like to keep it nice and tight. I think it's worth a tenth. The second bonus, as well as it being worth about a tenth from my point of view, is if you are being attacked and you've got someone up your backside at this point in time, by keeping the tight line here, you're also defending up this straight here as we look to go to turn 3, which is a tricky little sausage. So as we're going uphill, slightly later upshift there. I did it on 135 kilometers an hour. And what we're looking to do is we're going to come fully off the track on the left-hand side. Just get our right-hand tyres on the rumble strip, and then just before the 50 marker, we're going to start turning back in towards the apex. And then just as we hit the actual driving line, or where most cars go, we're going to pop off the accelerator down to about 40%, and then drop it down to about 30%. Let it come through, and now we're going to balance the car between the brake and the throttle. So this is one of the rare corners on this schedule where you are on the gas and the brake at the same time. So the reason for that is you're wanting to keep your foot just barely touching the gas pedal, and that's just going to keep the rear planted. But we're also looking to balance that with a little bit of brake control, just to keep the weight in the front tyres. Not too much weight, but just enough so that we can keep it nice and tight and start turning round this corner so that we can go and get on the throttle nice and early for fourth T4. So we're fully back on the throttle here, nice and early. Hugging it over to the right-hand side as early as possible. We're staying in the throttle through here. So as you see, I'm fully on the throttle. You're not going to have an off-track for this, but this is about as wide to the left as you can go as you follow it through. And then we do exactly the same here for the next turn. And then just after we pass this line on the road here, this little white line up ahead, we're going to quickly get on the brake up to about 45%, and we're going to trail it off. We're going to really cut this inside corner of 7 as much as possible. We're going to give it a quick blast of full throttle, and then we're going to come back off the throttle whilst we're looking to get the rotation. So every time we come off the rotation in the V, it brings the balance to the front. It means the rears lighten up, and you can get that extra rotation here. We're just going to balance it around there, and then when I know I'm going to make the corner, I'm fully back on the throttle at this point. So nice early throttle. Let the car drift round. And this time, with the track at the temperature it is, I'm just going to rev it out in 3rd gear. I did try it in 4th several times when I was running these laps, and I found no actual benefit. It's better, even if it was worth 100th or 200th to change up, it's worth it to stay in 3rd gear, simply because you're then not unsettling the car at the apex. So as we go past the 50 marker on the right-hand side, I'm going to jump on the brakes up to about 83%, so you can go quite hard here because you're really gripped up because you're in this little valley. And we're going to trail it off nice and gently to the apex. We're already in 3rd gear. We start building back on the throttle. A little bit of balance if you need it there. And then I'm fully back on 100%, nice and early. Let the car drift out. And now we're looking for this worth sign on the right-hand side. So we're going to come fully off the track, just leaving our left-hand tyres on the rumble strip. You won't get an off if you're doing that. And once we hit the worth, we're just going to dab the brakes just up to about 40%. And then we're going to trail it off nice and quickly. We're staying in 3rd gear. Again, just balancing the car. We're going to cut this again as much as you can. So if you're touching the grass here, you will get an off. But just where I am, you're absolutely fine. And we're looking, so when we're fully in the apex, we'll get back on the throttle. Up to 100% here. Let the car drift out. We're now staying fully on throttle over here. Again, we're cutting it nice and tight. And what we're looking for is when we're about 3 car lengths before, you'll just get used to the feel of it. Once you get about 3 car lengths before you're sort of hitting the apex of the corner, we're going to dab the brakes up to about 45%. And then balancing the car, staying in 3rd gear. So as you can see, I was on 13% holding it. Jumped up to 60%, then I've decided I need some more rear rotation, so I can back off the throttle a little bit, balance it, and now I'm fully back on the throttle, letting the car drift out, but you're on the throttle nice and early. That's going to be really important in terms of defending and overtaking around here. And we cross the line for a 137.538. As always, park up somewhere nice and safe. And I'll see you back in the chase cam. Okay, so here we are back in the chase cam for a full speed run through. Over to the right hand side, looking for the 50 marker. We get all our braking done well before the apex. Little dab of the brakes, 2/3, trail it off, full throttle, back off the throttle, feel it, balance it, back on. Cut back across to the right hand side. Now we're going to come off the track, leaving our right hand tyres on the rumble strip. 50-yard marker. Start the turn in. Now we're balancing it all the way through, down to 3rd gear. I could have taken that tighter. Staying on the throttle through here. Feels lovely when you get it right. Little dab of brakes, back on the throttle, off the throttle, balancing it round. Looking for the 50-yard mark on the right hand side, brake hard up to about 80%, trail it nicely, on the throttle nice and early. Over to the right hand side, as we go past the worst sign, little dab of the brakes, back on the throttle. Staying in the throttle here, little dab again just to trailing it round. Nice and straightforward. And across the line again. Right, final run through with the driving line on from the cockpit. See you in a second. Okay, here we are for the final time. everyone looks so straightforward when you get it right. But today when I started, I think the first half a dozen times I went through, granted I was always trying to beat my Delta, but I had a lot of offs there. Now this is a corner that's always going to get lots and lots of spins during the race, especially the first time you run through it. As will this corner. Make up a lot of speed through that corner. Lots of people take it very, very tight, like going off and coming back in, carry your speed. Main thing is using all the track, and the track does include those rumble strips. I shall see you in the middle of the week, and we will run from the back and see how we get on. See you next time.